I got a hard one for you. And again, this didn't come from me. This came from our audience. So if you're going to be mad at anyone, be mad at them.
Okay, let's hear it.
Why are all great singles players crap at doubles? What is it?
I don't know about crap. Come on, I'm getting better. I think that, all the singles guys are working to get better at doubles. And I don't know that a lot of the, doubles specialists are working to get better at singles. So.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pickleball Effect podcast. This is episode 110. I'm your host, Braydon. 110. Then we got Aaron, the editor, with us. Aaron, welcome, dude.
What's up, man? Hey, what are you drinking? How come you never drinking anything fun for any of these podcasts?
I've been drinking a lot of poppies though. You ever had those like fake sodas?
Yeah, there's the what's the Ollie? So I started with the Ollie Pop. They're like the prebiotic, ones. Right? Healthy sodas. But the thing that got me stopping to drink them is they load them up with fiber. Which I get that fiber is good for you, but like they were some of them were putting too much fiber in. So they were like poop generators. Like you just drink an Ollie Pop and then you have to go to the bathroom. Like it's basically like a cup of coffee. So I love that there's like new soda variants that's healthy and it's got like good sugars and there's no chemicals. But I mean, for me, I just can't drink that much fiber. So I don't know if I don't know if that's what you asked.
It hasn't changed my bathroom schedule yet. I still got my regular times that I go in.
Yeah, check your poppy can for fiber. But speaking of healthy drinks, I have a Dr. Pepper Zero, the nectar of the gods. But yeah, a little less fiber.
DP over Coke. That's been that way your whole life.
Coke over Pepsi, easy. I was a Baja Blast guy. If you're a Baja Blast person, you know.
Taco Bell.
Dr. Pepper Zero might be the most elite drink of all time.
I don't think I've had a Dr. Pepper in ages. It's always Pepsi and Coke. If I go that route, I don't know.
But your Coke over, or have you had the Mexican Cokes, the ones with the cane sugar? That's a little spicier.
Yeah,
that's the best one. Glass bottle, frosted. Yeah,
those are nice. I don't know. I'm so accustomed to like the diet or the zero sugar that those taste better to me now.
Yeah, that's good. Might as well. I mean, it's like everyone always argues about fake sugars, but it's like we know what real sugar does too. So it's all bad, right?
It's all bad.
Pick your poison.
Even Poppy's bad. I thought I was doing good, but you debunked me.
Not to get too much off track. I think they like Pepsi bought them for like $2 billion or something, but then they had like a giant lawsuit. Poppy was saying they're healthier than they actually are. So.
Oh, they got sued for saying they were too healthy.
Yeah, I think they got sued. But wouldn't that be? Imagine building something so big, making so much money that you get sued. We're not there yet. You're on your way.
I don't think I want to get there. I like where we're at. We got a good thing going.
Yeah,
here.
Fair enough.
Dude, this is episode 4 for us. We're cruising along. Dude, can I just say, like, I've enjoyed so much these last few episodes. We've been talking so much throughout the week. It's really fun as we plan these, trying to find people, and we're just chatting all the time. And I really appreciate it. And the level, like upping the level of the look of the pod has been fun to see, and just been enjoying it, man. Appreciate you doing all you're doing, putting all the time in. You can tell.
It's been a blast. I think pickleball was like 95% of my life before, and I think I auctioned off the last 5%.
Oh no!
But it's been well worth it. It's been so much fun talking pickleball even more, diving deeper, being in the know, talking to guests, just like being fully in the PE brand and what we're doing. It's been a ton of fun on my side too. I appreciate those words. I gotta
ask though. Okay, we're a month in. You're getting more paddles. You're hitting them more, so we can talk about them on the pod. Do you feel the reviewers curse a little bit of having to switch paddles all the time and your game kind of stagnating a little bit?
Yeah, but I also think I became a reviewer, quote unquote, too soon. Like I could have got better with one paddle before I hit this like plateau of skill level. I don't think I would be that much of a better player with one paddle. I think I'd be better. I think I'd be more consistent and I would trust my shots more. But I'm not gonna say it's the curse of talent. I think it, you can win with a lot. It's more of a me thing. I'll say it. You
get better at it over time. Like your ability to really adjust between paddles, it gets pretty quick, more so than the average person.
Or you just you pick up a paddle and like you get your butt kicked and you're like, that paddle stinks.
It's obviously the paddle.
I'm gonna go on the podcast and say that one's bad because I got pickled. No, but it's been a blessing to hit everything. It's a ton of fun.
I did have a little case of that this week where I had 4 different paddles I was playing in just one session. That's not too often I bring out 4 for a 2-hour session, but this day I did. And there was one I struggled to adapt to quicker than the others, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, dude, this will be another good episode, man. I feel like every episode's been so strong. We got another really fun one today. I'm excited about. So for under review, we have Chris Haworth coming on board. We're talking paddles, singles, different fun, a lot of fun stuff with him. And then airing it out. What do we got there?
Yeah, airing it out. We're talking about some headlines. Potential changes in singles with shrinking the court. So we'll talk about what PPA is thinking on Challenger, and then we're going to jump into some personal finance with private equity and Selkirk making a really big investment with some private equity coming in and making an international play. And so what's Pickleball in 2026 look like globally? We're talking like acquisition. But yeah, I mean, 2026 will be interesting. What about Paddle, Babble, and Gear? What you got?
So big one today is 11SIX24 Power Vapor 2. A lot of chatter about this just all over the internets. We've got our thoughts.
We made it.
Yeah, been playing with that one pretty consistently. That one and the J6CR have been the ones I've been going back and forth as I'm prepping for reviews for those. And so yeah, we got our first impressions, bunch of numbers, rankings, feel map for that paddle. And then we want to talk Flik F3 series, which was just released. And then we have the Mark II R3, which we were both fans of. So we'll get into that one. But yeah, so before we jump into under review, quick updates here. We got a giveaway, dude. We're doing a giveaway. Gherkin reaches out. The Gherkin. Oh, geez. Draco. Draco.
I just met her.
You just met her. She's on available for pre-sale now. You can go order that. It's a really solid paddle. They're bringing in that new foam. Really no complaints about it. Has kind of like a thonky feel to it. Anyways, that's like a paddle I want to give more time to, and I'm going to give more time to. But I've just been bombarded with these other paddles that just have a ton of interest around them, and we got to do some content for. But I do have that one. Do have more time planned for that one because I'm really into it. But giveaway for it. What are the rules? What are we doing?
Okay, so giveaway, you have to follow, one, you got to be a subscriber to the PE Pickleball Effect podcast on the channel. 2, you got to follow Gherkin's Instagram. You got to follow Pickleball Effect. And 3, personal plug, you got to follow Aaron, the editor, @generic on Instagram as well.
Aaron is a better follower.
Ooh,
Aaron is a better follow than me. You're much better with words, much more entertaining.
Oh, I don't know.
It's much, if you're going to pick one between one of us, go unfollow me. Follow Aaron. You'll get the same information in a much more entertaining way.
Yeah, you heard it here first. But so those are the 3 criteria. And then the 4th thing is you need to DM me on Instagram a joke, your best joke. It can be a dad joke. It can be a roast. If you want to roast myself or Braydon, that's cool too. But any types of jokes, you got something, your comedic gold. You want to send a selfie of a little stand-up bit, that's fine too. You might, but the 3 funniest videos, when you talk to Gherkin, we're either going to do 1 or 2 or 3 giveaways. I think we're going to do 3. Gherkin's pretty cool. If it's 1, sorry. But yeah, DM me your best.
So it's got to be your account, your Instagram account, not the PE
@generic, GHENARIC on Instagram. DM me, send me a joke, send me a roast, something funny. Could be a meme, whatever. Could be a clip of Arc Raiders with the burnt peanut. You familiar with any of this online?
No, not.
Okay, don't worry about it. We'll go through. And we'll do a little team vote inside PE, Braydon and I, we'll laugh. And maybe next week we can kind of read some of the funny jokes. But we'll announce on this Tuesday, correct? The winner? When will we announce?
Yeah, action starts Tuesday. Let's give it a couple days, and then we'll let you kind of siphon through the jokes and pick the funniest one. So, I mean, if this is like, the joke's got to be, Aaron's the judge. So it's got to be some Aaron humor. This is... Like, what's the movie we were talking about before we hopped on? Nacho Libre. This is like, he's a Nacho Libre type humor guy. Like that's your target market right here.
Right. And that's a compliment. So if somebody says he's a Nacho Libre type humor guy and somebody like groans or has like then like, don't even DM me. I won't pick you. I'll do research on my side. It's got to be one of the best movies ever. Back here. Oh, what a point. That's Nacho himself.
Nacho. Maybe you've heard of me.
Yeah. It's a wonderful movie. So yeah, we'll do something fun. And regardless, you're going to want to have the Draco. It's going to be at a really good price. And I think this is one of those paddles that even if, you play better with an all cord it's going to be a great addition to the bag. Been a big fan. I'm excited to circle back on it and definitely worth winning in a giveaway. So do your best shot and we'll give away a few Dracos here. And if not, then definitely still pick one up. Good price point. Really exciting paddle.
Last update is we dropped the Sparta's P1 video. So that review is up. That's one of those, the first paddles go to market with an updated grit. It's called Permagrit. And early testing looks really, really positive. I'm getting close on my rig, Aaron. My father-in-law that's helping me build it, we're hoping either this week or next for that to be done. And we're gonna when he has it ready, I'm gonna drive up to Washington where they live. We're gonna pick that up, fine tune it, bring it home, and then we're gonna have some fun with the grit testing. But really pumped about that. But yeah, that review is up. You can go watch it. We're gonna talk about that more in Paddle Babble when we're talking about the Vapor, because I think those two are competitors, and so we'll compare and contrast those. But let's jump into under review with Chris Haworth. Here's my intro. This is my bit. I wrote it down. Today's guest is Chris Haworth. He signed with the PPA mid last year and is the men's singles player to beat right now, with championship Sunday appearances at the first two tournaments of 2026, including a gold at Masters. He recently switched paddle sponsors from Babble to LUZZ. We talk about his big win at the Masters, dive into his single strategy, and chat about his new sponsor in paddle. Chris, you're on. Thank you for joining us, man. Really looking forward to having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Excited to talk some pickleball.
Yeah, dude, you just been, I mean, how long has it been since you joined the PPA tour? What, a year?
No, it's been like 6 months, not even, maybe right at 6 months, honestly. Crazy. Yeah, I joined like July last year, mid-July, but it was towards the end of the MLP season. So my first tournament wasn't until August of last year.
Wow. Dude, I remember reading the headlines there. I was so pumped to have you come over. Both of us have been watching you for a long time. And you're so incredible, so unique. You can just do stuff on the singles court in particular that nobody else can do.
Thank you.
And there needed to be some more singles action. And you're the one. You just came in and just right off the bat, dude. You've been at the top, and somehow you don't have the number 1 next to your name, but that's going to be there soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm gunning for that for sure.
You're 5 seed right now, right?
Yeah, right now I'm 5th, but those guys ahead of me have a lot of points. They racked them up over the last year, so it might take me a few tournaments to get there.
Yeah, but if you keep beating them, nobody's worrying about points. They're just
that's the goal.
Watching
that's the goal.
Watching the seeds
one by 1
to 3. Like, you're living in people's heads rent free. Good for you.
So Aaron's got some lifestyle type questions that he's going to go through. We're going to talk about your big win at the Masters, which was really fun, and then I have some gear. Some gear questions we're going to throw at you and see what you think on the paddle you're playing, your move to LUZZ, and things like that. So, Aaron, go for it.
Yeah, well, first, congratulations on your first PPA gold of 2026 at the Masters. Just talk me through that tournament. What did it feel like to kick everyone's butt and walk home with a gold medal?
Yeah, it felt super good. You know, I went through a paddle change on the off season. I'm sure we'll get more into that.
Huge,
but yeah, so, you know, you never know. You feel confident with the paddle in practice, but then when you go to a tournament, you know, everything's so different. So I went in, you know, not with too high of expectations. I just wanted to get a feel for it and, you know, play some matches and see how it went. And then round by round, I think I was playing better and better. And then by the end of it, you know, I was able to run off a few good matches against good players and get the gold.
What is that feeling like of like, I like this paddle, but we're not super steady yet. And so is the paddle like worried about you, or are you worried about the paddle, or like you guys talking between points? What's that like?
Yeah, I talk nicely to my paddle, you know, but yeah, it's just such a different feeling. Like I feel confident with it, but you know, when you're playing the best players in the world, it's, you know, it has to be like on a dime. And so, yeah, like I said, like I went into it, you know, not crazy expectations. You know, I think it takes a few tournaments to get used to paddles, but
for sure.
Yeah, I guess maybe not for this instance.
Talk to me about some opponents and just like maybe who's like a tough opponent that for whatever reason has your number, you have theirs, or does it just kind of like singles is a day by day thing? Anyone can win at any time. And
I think I think there's certain players that are day by day. I just finished my match against Grayson, you know, Grayson Golden. So like someone like him, if he gets hot, I think he can beat anyone in the world. You know, there's a lot of guys like that just rip the ball. So it's like if they're hitting the ball as hard as they can and it's going in, like, you know, what do you do? So I think there's certain matchups that I favor. I won't give away too many of my secrets, but yeah, there's certain guys that I would rather play just based on matchups. And then, you know, even at the top, you know, there's some that I would rather play and maybe they have better results, but it's just a better matchup for me. So singles is very matchup based. I think almost even more so than doubles.
Interesting. So we've seen Anna Lee lob serve start creeping into doubles.
Yeah, you got to see the Chris Haworth lob serve. I had a few today too.
Did you? I don't know if I've caught them yet. Are they full aces, or what are these returns like? Are you worried that like someone like Jack Sock is going to like rip a 70-mile-an-hour fastball at you? Or
yeah, for sure. But it's like it's high risk, high reward. Like if I hit one, I know they're going to go for a big return. So like maybe on a big point, a 9-8 point. They have a little tension in their arm and they try to rip a return off a lob serve and they miss it. I'm not sure. I think anything that Anna Lee does is probably for a reason. So the rest of us should probably follow suit.
Talk to me about 2026 singles meta. Like, where do you see the game shifting, if at all, or maybe not?
I think the game has shifted in a really great way. I think the worst singles product, that we've had, not even just PPA, just overall, is when, the ball's getting faster, guys are returning and coming in, and then the server is either hitting a passing shot or, they're missing a volley or they're hitting a put away volley. I think there was a year of that where the rallies are 3-4 balls max. So I think now the product is so good where there are longer baseline rallies and, you have to pick your time to come in a little bit better. And it's not just like 2-3 balls. I don't know that we'll ever get back to cat and mouse. I know probably I won't go that direction, but if equipment changes and ball changes and, it goes that way, then I'll have to figure that out. But right now, I think the singles product is so good. I think it's entertaining. And I think, athleticism is really on show.
Why do you think the cat and mouse game has almost disappeared? Is it equipment? Is it players getting better? Where do you think started that shift?
I think that it's a little bit of a combination of everything. I think players have gotten better. I think players are training harder. When you look at the cat and mouse matches, they were maybe 4 or 5 years ago where, players aren't training 5-6 hours a day. That was the time in pickleball where, everyone's working a full-time job and they're playing after work and then they're just going to tournaments. Now I think guys are so dialed in with, ground strokes and passing shots and really every aspect of the game that the game is just advanced. And I think the game will keep advancing. And whether the style will change when it keeps advancing, I don't know. But I think a lot of it has to do with how people are training.
Do you have a take on the news that recently dropped that the Challenger Series is
shrinking the court?
With like a shrinking a court on the width? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I definitely have a take on it. I think that, I don't know exactly what their goal is with that. But I think if the goal is longer points, I think that they will get the opposite of what they're wanting. I think that will lead more to, the style that I just said that I think is the least interesting style of pickleball singles, which is like return, come in, passing shot winner or volley winner. Like, I don't think that you'll get into a lot of cat and mouse points, and I don't think you'll get any baseline rallies. So I don't think that that's the answer, but you never know. It could work great. And if it works great, I'm all for it. Whatever gets the most eyes on singles and the most eyes on the tour as a whole.
Is that because a skinnier court means you can come up easier, you can cover the net better, and like is that kind of the rationale?
Yeah, I mean, like me as example, my wingspan is 6-7 feet. I don't know how long it is, but
we'll say 7.
Yeah,
6'7".
we'll say 7. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if I can cover pretty much the whole court, it's hard to get a ball by someone, but it's also hard to dip a ball because you don't have the extra foot or two on each side. I'm super interested to see how it goes, but for me, I don't know that it's the answer, but we'll see.
Okay, I got a hard one for you. And again, this didn't come from me. This came from our audience. So if you're going to be mad at anyone, be mad at them.
Okay,
why are all great singles players crap at doubles? What is it?
I don't know about crap. Come on, I'm getting better. There's a few guys that are good. Christian's good at both. Federico's good at both. I'm like, I got to think of them. But if you look at the top 10, I mean, everyone's, trying to get better at doubles. I don't know if it's because we're newer. I mean, I've played for a while now. I played pickleball for 3 years, but, you're looking at some of the top doubles guys. They played for 5 or 6 years. So sure. I think it just takes longer. But I also think that, it's a different sport. I mean, for me, I think singles and doubles are totally different sports. I think they're both entertaining. And I think mixed doubles you could categorize as like a third sport almost. Like the strategy is so different. The shots that you need are so different. So, I think that they're just totally different. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. And I think that, all the singles guys are working to get better at doubles. And I don't know that a lot of the, doubles specialists are working to get better at singles. So
yeah, well said.
There's a few different ways you could look at it.
Okay, so you win PPA the Masters. What is like a gold medal meal post win? Like, is it a cheat meal? Is it like I need to rehydrate?
Oh,
like,
actually, I do. I got a good one. I went straight to In-N-Out, straight to the In-N-Out drive-through to get back to
order?
our just two cheeseburgers and the animal style fries. Nothing too crazy, but I did that. Took it back to the house, ate it, went to sleep, and then I came to freezing cold Minnesota the next morning.
All right, last one for me. Here it is. I know you're a dog lover. How important is it to have 3+ dogs in order to be a great singles player?
Oh gosh, we're dwindling down, and I think the ideal number is maybe 2. 3 is three's pushing it. 4 was way too many, but yeah, 2 is the ideal number there.
That's awesome. I have been trying to convince my wife to get a dog for a while, to no avail. We got 3 kids.
Yeah,
she
you gotta
says
have at
that's
least
enough.
one.
I got one, Braydon. So yep.
Your 3 kids plus 1 dog. That's your 4. So maybe it is too many.
I thought you were about to give me an argument for me. No, it's against me. All right, man. Let's shift over to some paddle questions. So you recently signed with LUZZ. LUZZ has been this up and coming brand the last year, and so tell us why you went with LUZZ. We'll just start there.
Yeah. So I first talked to LUZZ, a year ago, and it was before they came out with some of the, the paddles that really made a big intro to the market. So I decided not to go with them a year ago. And then, when it was time to negotiate this year, I felt like they had innovated so well. They came out with 3 paddles that are just, like flying off the shelves from what I can tell, the Canon, the Inferno, and the Tornado. So, I know that they're willing to innovate, and I know they're going to be pushing forwards. And I just feel like they're a great company to work with. They're trying to build a roster. They're getting some great players. I just really wanted to be part of that team.
Nice, good for you. I think it's really exciting. I'm on board with their paddles. I think they're really solid, and they've been at the forefront. They're staying on top of things. They got good stuff.
Exactly.
So tell us what paddle you're currently playing with. I don't think it's one that's currently being sold, right?
No, it's not available yet. It's called the Pro Blade 2. It's a 14 millimeter. It's full foam. It's an update of a paddle they had last year called the Blade, which was like a floating core. But this one's just the updated version of it. It's been great so far.
So why that one over maybe
good.
like the Inferno? Because the Inferno is the popular one for LUZZ.
Yeah, I think out of their those 3 paddles that they had that did really well. There it is. Looks cool too. I think that they were all, they're all power paddles, and they're all like the high end of power paddles. And so for singles, I don't know that that's really what you should be looking for. I think if you're a good singles player, you want to have the feel a little bit and be able to swing out on the ball. So, I worked with them, and Caitlin's working with them to kind of create something that works for singles and doubles. So the paddle that I used is kind of like a toned down version, I would say, of the Inferno.
Nice. So, okay, I want to talk thickness for a minute. So you were with Babble before. I think that thing was 12.7, 13, the striker you were playing with, right? Damn.
Yeah, it was 13.
So this one's 14.
13 edgeless, so it looks super thin.
Looking thinner. So this one's 14 millimeters. 16 is the most common. What's the reasoning, or what's the why preference with the thinner cores?
So I don't have a preference on, how thick it is. I just kind of go off feel. And I wanted a more control paddle, and you guys probably know better than I do, but it seems like with the full foam paddles, which the Inferno and the Tornado are both full foam also, I think that the thinner they are, the more control they have, or the less power they have, maybe less pop. And so that was the reason I went with the thinner paddle this time. I don't necessarily have a preference. I just kind of go off what feels the best.
Yeah, that makes sense. With Gen 3 style paddles, like the 14, 16 millimeter, the 14, this was like the first time paddles started to slow down a little bit for 14s versus 16s. 16s, you tend to get a little more rebound effect and a little more power from the baseline in particular. Pop kind of varies from paddle to paddle, but that makes sense that would be good to
I know here. When I first started, when I started 3 years ago, it was like the opposite. It was like the thick paddles are the control paddles and thin paddles are, the power paddles. And I think now it kind of depends on the paddle and what the core is made of, and all the stuff that's inside of it.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Looking forward to trying that one out. We, most people are sticking with 16. There's not too many brands doing 14. So that's progressive then to come out with a 14 model. All All right, last gear.
As far as I know, I think it might be the only full foam 14 that I know of right now. I think the new Paddle Tech approved, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, the new Paddle Tech, I'm not sure what thickness it is, and it might be 14, and I think it's full foam, but I'm not sure. But yeah, there's very few so far.
Yeah. So yeah, my last gear question is just in relation to the Lifetime ball. From what I understand, you're a big fan of the Lifetime ball. You think it caters well to your game. Tell us why that is.
Yeah, so when I signed, it was late last summer, and so I signed my contract. I got online, I ordered 100 Vulcan balls, and I'm like, all right, it's time to get training with these. They show up at my door, and then a day later, it's like Lifetime ball announcement. So, but it's the only ball I've ever used, or not ever, since I signed. It's the only ball I've used at a PPA tournament, and yeah, I think it suits me perfectly. It bounces up a little bit higher, gives me time to rip those ground strokes. Yeah, I think it's a great ball.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of it, dude. Just the fact that you get the little higher bounce, a little truer bounce, more consistent. I think I've broken one ever. I've broken one ball in 6 months, and then it stays perfectly round every single time. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for balls for me is just staying round. Yeah, there it is.
Sounds simple.
Yeah, no, it sounds simple, but they're the first ones to make a fast ball that stays round, and so it's been a big deal.
So what'd you do with those Vulcans? Straight to the trash, or for the dogs, or what?
No, I still train with them. So I do a lot of ground stroke training, like just dead ball feeds or drop ball feeding. So those are my balls. I just beat the crap out of those and don't worry about what they look like.
All right, last thing, going back. So let's just say I'm a 3.5, 4.0. This is not personal experience. I'm obviously much better at singles. But what are some tips to kind of maybe get out of 3.5 singles hell? If a player wants to get advanced, is it just simple drilling, or like what's the dedicating the time? Like, how could you help me, but without helping me?
Yeah, my go-to tip for singles used to be just be the first one to the net. I think I told people that for like 2 years, but now I think it's a little bit different. So I think, train your ground strokes a little bit more, maybe go big on serves. Returns are super important. You want to go big on returns without missing too many. But yeah, I think try to keep your opponents back and get in before them, but also, coming in on the right ball. So I think it's more strategy based than anything.
If there's one drill you're going to give us to go improve our singles game, what is it?
I do drop ball feeds. So I have a coach that just stands a foot away from me, drops the ball, and I hit probably an hour and a half of drop ball feeds every single day. So just tuning in those ground strokes.
Are you standing on different places on the baseline with different targets?
Yeah. I mean, we do all kinds of drills. Yeah. Targets, a basket of, just forehands down the line where I'm just standing in one spot, just kind of grooving it in. And then, we're moving to the forehand and hitting them down the line, and then moving, hitting it cross court. I mean, there's a million things you can do, and it's great to do with a training partner. You hit a basket, you say it's 50 balls, and then you're resting while you're letting them hit their 50 balls, and then just go back and forth. It's a good workout. It's good training, and it makes the practice go pretty quickly.
I like that. I think that's what I need to do the most. Like in doubles, everything's so stationary. Like the ball comes to you, particularly when you're driving. But in singles, you're on the move, and I cannot drive a ball on the move worth of beans. And that's why I got to
go. There you go. Now you got your drill.
There it is.
You got your go-to.
All right, man. Well, that's everything we have for you. We really appreciate you hopping on. Really fun chatting, and good luck this week in Minnesota. I imagine Aaron and I will be doing a follow-up after this on the pod, and we'll be celebrating your next gold.
That's the goal. Thank you, guys.
Man, thank you.
And we're back with Airing It Out. What an awesome time to spend some time with Chris, take out of the day. I believe he was at Minnesota PPA while that interview was recorded. Is that right?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday that we talked to him, but we had scheduled, it was tricky finding a time because he was at Masters, kicking butt there. And then he flew straight from Masters to Minnesota in preparation for this event. So he hasn't been at home, and he ended up taking the call with us an hour after his second or third round match. He just went and found.
He just beat Golden, right? And then he jumped on the call with us.
Yeah, he had just beaten Golden.
Basically courtside.
And he said he just found a random office in the facility that was empty. And he's like, I hope nobody shows up while we're talking here.
It's actually funny. If you go back and watch the interview again, while I was editing it, you can see him looking up, like he's doing checks to make sure he's not in trouble for being in a room. So if you want to watch the Haworth interview again, you can kind of see that he's, doing that. Am I supposed to be here? My bad. I'm just trying to find an empty, quiet room. But tell me, what were some kind of the takeaways from talking to Chris? High level, what were some things that, kind of surprised you? Or?
Yeah, I thought the 16 versus 14 millimeter conversation was interesting. He had told us beforehand we were kind of sharing some of the like questions we had for him. And he prefaced, any paddle talk. He's like, I'm not a nerd. I know how paddles play and work, but I can't, be super explicit on how that maybe correlates with tech and different things. And which I actually appreciated, because I think it's fun to hear someone's perspective on how a paddle plays without any preconceptions of the tech or anything else part of the paddle. So he says, I picked the 14, the thinner core, or the question I had for him, right, was like, why 14 over 16? He says he picks 14 for added control. And that lines up with what we've seen with like Gen 3, Gen 4 floating foam tech, where the 16 millimeter with that little added mass, you get a little more of a trampoline effect. And you actually get, oftentimes you have a little better control with the 14 millimeter, and he was feeling that. And he picked the 14 over the 16 for the added control, which is kind of counterintuitive, I think, in some degree in singles. When you think singles, you think power, you think passing. Sure. And he says, no, I want a little more control. And it sounds like he uses the same paddle, that Pro Blade 2, that unreleased Pro Blade 2 for doubles too. And so it's that way he doesn't have to switch paddles. So you can get real familiar with that one. But it was fun to hear him pick up on the 14 millimeter being a little more control oriented. And I can't remember if, did he have any comments on why he wanted more control?
No, I just think like a lot of men's singles players can generate enough power. So he mentioned that the Inferno 16 millimeter was just too much juice for him. And so I think he said the Pro Blade 2 14 millimeter is more or less a 14 millimeter Inferno. It's still the floating core. I believe it's still an EPP with the obviously EVA band, but it's just toned down. And so a lot of times you think pros or like, Anna Lee is like married to a 12.7. Like she loves that millimeter. And so when you told me that Chris plays a 14, I was like, oh, I'm curious like that he prefers a 14. But then he even said in the interview, it's not that I like prefer a 14 over a 16. He's just like the 16 had too much juice. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of like a similar case of, last couple of years, Ben Johns hasn't been playing with the 3S or the Pro 4 for men's singles. He would go back to the Gen 2 Perseus and Hyperion when he would play, because I guess, I love that when pros counter stigmas. Like for me, it's always, I want a slightly more controllable paddle for doubles. I need more precision. I need touch. Singles, it's all in my head as not a great singles player. I need passing shots. I need power. I need baseline. I need dip. And so it's always jump to more power for singles is I think a common thought. But it's nice to see top singles pros like Ben and Chris say, hey, I'm cool in the all court. I can generate my own power. Placement is much more of a thing. Mm-hmm. And acknowledging that it's not like just because there is a top of the line power option, him saying that's too much for me. I acknowledge this is not good for my game, and a 14 millimeter will give me the most success on the court.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope people start to think that way more just in general, right? Not chasing the latest trends, not chasing the biggest power, but look at a paddle and think, okay, what do I need? What's best for my game? And just, being real there. And that's what he did. And he's obviously an incredible singles player. It was fun to hear some of his strategies. When you called him out on the
doubles,
you're like, why do singles players stake at doubles or whatever? And his comeback was money. It was like, well, not every doubles player is good at singles. And then, but then he made the analogy that like singles, mixed, and gender doubles, they're three different sports. And it's actually pretty uncommon to see players succeed in all three disciplines. Like Gabe Tardio, for example, is incredible at men's, but he's just kind of middle of the road in mixed, right? He played with, I think, Parento a couple times this year, and it hasn't had as much success as you think he would. Then you look like Patrick Quinn. He's incredible mixed and doubles, but hasn't done anything, doesn't have any results in singles, or doesn't even really attempt singles. And so it was kind of fun to hear that perspective, and that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, or like people like Paris Todd. She announced in Minnesota that she's going to be stepping away from singles, and potentially this is her last singles event for the PPA, and she just wants to be a doubles focus. And so there's often a stigma of, if you're a great singles player, that's cool, but since you're not good at doubles, you're not an elite pickleball player. I think that's like a stigma. But Chris to come out and say, hey, I'm a top 5 right now singles player in the world, and there are lots of people that only play mixed and gender doubles, and they're not even top 5. Right. And so I thought that was cool that he defended himself. But yeah, Chris, I mean, he was the best.
Yeah, he was super easy to talk to and just seemed like a super chill dude. It was fun. But yeah, let's jump into some of your other topics.
Okay. Topic number 1, the PPA Tour is testing smaller singles court dimensions. For the next 4 PPA challengers, they are testing a smaller court for singles matches to make the game more dynamic. So a traditional court, Braydon, what's the math? Pickleball guy, what is it? Off the top of your head? No Google. No Google.
You have a picture.
Doesn't have ball. He doesn't know ball, guys. How can you trust this dude? 44 by 20. I had to Google that myself. Well, you haven't made the PE court
Mr.
yet.
Ball.
So yeah, Mr. Ball. Hey, you got the iPhone right last week when you like dimed the weight. Okay, so a traditional court length is 44 by 20, but they're experimenting with keeping the length at 44 feet, but the width down to 17 feet instead of 20. So they're going to be taking about 1.5 feet on either side,
quite a bit,
to potentially make the game more different. And I did read a Reddit post. I read it on Reddit. People excited. And the top comment, I was wondering if it was going to mirror what Chris said on, hey, this might make the game worse. But the top comment on the Reddit forum said, I'm excited to see more cat and mouse in singles. And so I think the intent on shortening the width of the court is to create more cat and mouse, more dinking, more drops, more coming up, and kind of preventing some of these heavy hitter Hunter Johnson, Chris Haworth, baseline, zoomers. And so, but Chris kind of immediately said, hey, I don't see this going this way. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on making the court smaller for singles? Good idea, bad idea, or is any idea good for singles?
I tend to agree with Chris more here. His argument was you'll be able to get to the net so much a lot easier. You're going to be able to cover that. Passing shots are going to be impossible. If you try to pass them, they're just going to volley it and punish you. But yeah, I guess if you take into account the Reddit thought of where, okay, instead of driving, I'm dropping, I'm closing, we're cat and mousing, and it goes back to the way it originally was. I feel like it would turn into more of what Chris was saying, where you get up
5-shot rallies, you hit your return,
really short rallies, not as fun to watch.
Your 4th shot is a put away, ideally. Yeah. Right.
So
because they can't pass.
That's what happens, then don't go that route. Like if it shortens points, we don't want that. But if it does lengthen points, if it does turn into more cat and mouse, then you keep it. I guess you just have to watch and see what happens. Though I think I'm going to go with Chris with this one, number 5 in the world, seeing what that is most likely going to turn into. But it's worth trying. Why not?
Okay. Topic number 2. Selkirk raises $30 million at a $200 million valuation. First off, we knew Selkirk was big. I don't know how much you're into like business, but did you imagine that Selkirk's valuation for the company was $200 million?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a great sense of that. So, but it does seem like big. I know 100 million is a big milestone, and that's makes you pretty legit. So good for them.
So the private equity group Bluestone Equity Partners, which is an investment firm in New York, the company announced a $30 million growth equity investment from this equity firm. Mike Barnes says, we're not only trying to build the largest pickleball company, we're trying to build a world-class sports company. With the Bluestone partnership, we're set up to accelerate innovation, distribution, and global brand reach. We're exceptionally well positioned to serve global player base in markets such as India, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. One, they want to get Selkirk probably in storefronts all over the world. In these giant markets like Vietnam and emerging markets like China, they want Selkirk to be as big as some of these other brands, or like as Focalos, right, that Gabe is partnered with. We've seen Yola do a really big international push with, taking the pros on tour, playing at PPA Asia events. So I think this is Selkirk's attempt to do the same. But two, this money, I believe, is strategic in, hey, we want to acquire other companies. We're going after company. We want to consolidate. We want to be, you talk about the future of pickleball, 5 companies existing. We want to be one of those 5 by eating companies 6 through 10, 6 through 15. So this money also is going to be used for acquisition nationally to acquire other brands as they expand internationally. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, dude, I think this is a sign of things to come, especially when I hear that like M&A talk, the merger and acquisition talk. This, my first question is, okay, why now? There's always been this thought, okay, eventually someday there's going to be some consolidation of the market. There can't be this many brands all the time. And as I try to answer that question, I thought, okay, we look at the paddle market now. We have foam paddles. Power's pretty much maxed out. There's regulation around that now, so there's no like innovation we can make there. We have foam, durability is getting fleshed out. Grit is kind of the last frontier, like we've talked about, of like the big innovation to come. A lot of the stuff we're going to see in the future is just going to be smaller iterations, right? Like we're just going to start to fill out that, control to power spectrum with foams and you have a variety of, fills and different things. But we're getting, capped in here, and the innovation around core power, those performance things that have been the big driver the last 2-3 years of innovation is gone, really. Like we've kind of been maxed out there. Once grit gets solved this year, there's no big problem to solve for paddles the same way that it's been years prior. And once technology plateaus to a degree, that's when money matters. That's when like IP matters. And so it makes sense that they're coming in now. It's getting more and more difficult for small brands to enter the market because it costs more money. You need, like, you can't just make an iteration of a current paddle and make it cheaper and find success.
Right.
Like those days are gone. And so they're coming in now. They're going to start eating up and consolidating brands. It makes a lot of sense. I think if you're a medium to smaller brand, if you have any sort of IP or intellectual property that's worth anything, those are the people. Those are the people that Selkirk's going to target. And these brands, like these are entrepreneurs. Like that's their goal. Like that's what they make companies for. Is I go in, I make a brand, I try to make as big as possible, and then I exit. Like that's what these guys do. They want to exit. They want to sell to Selkirk. This is what they want to take that chunk of change and dip. Like that's a lot of these guys' goal. And so the opportunity for them is going to happen. Selkirk is eager. They have the capital. And like it's happening. I think the consolidation this is the beginning of it. This is the first investment that that was like public for this. And I think this is kind of the start of that consolidation phase.
Well, and we've seen it happen with PaddleTech. So PaddleTech and ProXR, right, mixed. That was private equity, another capital group called 35 Capital Partners, and they're also involved in, ProXR, Boundless Pickleball, PaddleTech. And so that on a smaller scale, the same thing is happening. But I think this is Selkirk positioning mostly against Yola. I think Yola is doing a good job with international notoriety, right? They even have some international department heads throughout the world, right? It's not just nationally. But here's the thing with Selkirk. So let's just say you solve core crush, okay, foam. You solve grit, okay, Infinigrit. Let's just say it with the newer version, or whatever it is. You have the best paddle. Let's just say Selkirk makes the best paddle in the world, or the best paddle that Selkirk can ever make. The next thing that Selkirk is missing, that $30 million does, is get it into a person's hand across the world that has never heard of Selkirk. Now they're going after billions of new customers, right?
Yep.
Millions, or as many people exist outside of America, right? Maybe they've done well in America. This $30 million is going to go get those boomsticks into everyone else's hand and say, don't buy Fakalos because that's the biggest Vietnam brand. They want to say, I want to buy a boomstick because it's the best paddle in the world. I think that's what the $30 million represents.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's twofold. It's a big deal, and just a sign of stuff to come.
All right, that's all I got for Aaron and Out, man. You want to talk paddles?
Yeah, let's talk paddles. So we're going to talk 11SIX24 Power Vapor or Power 2 Vapor first, and then we'll do the Flik F3 and the Mark II. So 11SIX24 Power 2 Vapor, we're holding it here. Price, this is going to be $199 after code. It's going to be a mid-Feb release with no exact date yet. We haven't been told that, but you can expect that soon. I think the retail price is $209, so code PB Effect knocks down $10. I messaged them, or David, the owner, asking what the tech is and things, and he replied and said, I intentionally am not telling people how it was built, with the idea of I want people to form opinions of how it plays without getting any preconceptions of how the tech affects performance. Which I thought was, no one's ever done this that I'm aware of. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it was smart, stupid?
Hell yeah, I think it's smart. No, that tells me I got something. Like I got a silver bullet, 1 with the grit, 2 with the core. I think if you're going to be hush hush, it creates it says like, I believe in this product, and who cares? Like, why do I need to tell you what's in it? People are going to, like, if it's good, they'll buy it no matter what.
Yeah. I thought it was a fun approach and smart on his part. So of course we have to dig a little bit more on our own. So I went and got this x-rayed, and just looking at the x-ray, it does look like your standard EPP floating core style, yep. Though I don't know like the density or the makeup or the type of foam they're using. We could just see, the general outline of it. And then we don't know the makeup of the face. We don't know, 11SIX24 is known for sneaking in a layer of fiberglass in there, but it's uncertain what they did there. And so all we know is that it has the look of this floating foam design, and it feels like that when you play with it. It definitely feels within that family, and the power and pop is there. It's a high power, high pop. Anyway, so that's the design, and of course the big innovation is the face, right? I don't know the details of how they make the face, why it's more durable or grittier. There was that post from Speak Pickleball. I don't know if you read that about when they signed Deckel, and there was a comment that this was just like a little homegrown recipe that David did. Like he went and bought an oven and was just testing stuff at his at home base and figured something out, which is really cool on his part. Fun story. We'd have to get the full story from him someday. But anyways, he did something, came up with his own little recipe, and that's what their hex grid is. And then we look, okay, let's bring up numbers before we get in deeper. So then the numbers, the stats look really solid on these. So mine weighs 7.9 ounces, 111 swing weight, and 6.7 twist. And then it has it's a little bit shorter of a hybrid. Like their vapor is just a little bit shorter and a touch wider than most others. It's still within the hybrid spec zone, but it's on a little bit shorter side, which can contribute, which is partly what contributes to those little lighter swing weight and stronger twist weight measurements. Yep. And I'm a fan of the shape. I think they do a good job. It does have a little bit taper on it to make it feel a little bit longer than it does. So they do go shorter for some of those, which helps with those measurements. But then the taper, I think, does push the sweet spot up just a touch and kind of makes it just move, or just feels like the length of a typical hybrid, right? But just for comparison, the average numbers of a 16 millimeter hybrid is a 113.7 swing weight with a 6.54 twist. So this has a lower than average swing weight and then a higher than average twist weight. So really strong combination here. So the other hybrid that we have, or the other two longer lasting grit hybrids, is the Coral and then the P1 Sparta. So the Coral falls into that all court space. This is the first full on power paddle that has, or this and the P1 are the first two power paddles that have longer lasting grit in a hybrid shape. But if you go watch the review of the Spartus, it plays great. It feels, the power and pop is high, a little bit denser than your typical EPP floating foam. The spin, I think, is legit based off of my little tiny experiment, but it's heavy, right? This isn't heavy. It has better than usual stats while still having the power and pop and still having this longer lasting grit. So I'm going to test the grit. We're going to put it through the ringer once I get that rig. But assuming that this grit is legitimate, that is a massive, value proposition. Like it's almost like why go anywhere else in that sphere of floating EPPs if the grit lasts longer here and it's at $200. Most of these paddles are in that $100 to $200 range. And so it's within reason there. I don't know. Can you tell me a reason not to?
You're gonna tell me you're gonna wait for the Pro 5, which is rumor is on the street, honeycomb in the core. Hope they do something.
The Yola Pro 5?
Yola Pro 5s with the honeycomb core, and most likely, could be wrong, peel ply texture. And I've heard soft rumors it's gonna be 300. You gonna buy that in a month from now, or are you gonna buy full foam, no core crush, potentially, we don't know, new long-lasting grit, a 111, it's got great numbers. How can you pass? Right? Yeah, it's super compelling. It's got a lot going for it. All those check boxes are marked. There really wasn't anything missing there. The last question is just, how does it perform? Well, actually, even on top of this, okay, on top of everything you just said, spin numbers for this were phenomenal. So my the
I was getting right around 2100 RPMs for this paddle. My average is about 2025 RPMs for all modern paddles. That's like 2025 on. And so like a really good paddle will be like, 2080 RPMs. Anything that hits average above 2100 is like elite. There's only, 5 to 10 or so of those. And this is one of them. So on top of the grip potentially being longer lasting, the spin is phenomenal off of it. And so it's got like twofold going for it there.
How many paddles, maybe you don't know the numbers, but you've had like what, less than 10 get over 2100?
Yeah, it's probably right around 10.
Right, and we'll call this out because I know everyone on Reddit, everyone on Discord, everyone in the YouTube comments, why are Braydon's spin numbers lower than the other databases? So can you answer this question first off, and then, because like someone else might have a 2300.
Yeah, I mean, that's all going to be subjective to the person, right? Like when I do my testing, I control what I can. I use, a Frankel ball every time. I'm at the same location, and I do the test the same way. And the environment is controlled, but it's still just a human. Braydon, this is just what Braydon gets. And my spin numbers are just lower than theirs for whatever reason. I just can't produce as much spin as the people that are getting 2300. But it's all, as long as you analyze those numbers within that person's database, then it's just relative, right? Like you can't compare spin across databases. It's got to be within the database. And so that's
within a database.
That's just what I get.
Don't ever take a number from someone else's database and say like, hey, this paddle, this, traditional peel ply, got 2200, but that's better than all of Braydon's database ever. I think live in the database. And like, I think that's the value of the Z score to say, hey, this is in the top 10 percentile of spin. And so whether another database, let's just say it's 2300, let's say it's 2400, let's say it's 2200, it doesn't matter. It's the same category of these 10 paddles have 2100 and over, or these 10 paddles are have the highest spin levels. So it's cool to see that one, there's a new texture, but that it's grabbing the ball the same. Because, you could tell me a world where durability is high on the texture, but the grab maybe isn't the same, right? And so the grab is proven by the numbers. So we're seeing potentially some of the spinniest paddles ever with a foam core, which case by case, but foam cores have been great. There's just so much going for this. I personally, as a fan of pickleball and as a paddle enthusiast, this feels like a curve. Like we're turning a corner in pickleball paddles that we've never experienced before between Infinigrit, Diamond Tough. But for me, the kind of the top two ones are Permagrit and Hexgrit. I know it's early, but these seem like the two ones that are a little bit different. You did some initial Infinigrit. It was wearing a little bit better than traditional carbon fiber. But it seems like Permagrit and
was
Hexgrit,
kind of in between from those early tests.
Right, are in a little bit of a league of their own. So really exciting to see 2100 spin, or top 95 up to 100% percentiles for spin numbers. That is so exciting.
Yeah, no, it's really, really fun. So let's look at firepower rankings. We'll share our first impressions, and then we'll go through a field map like we did last week. So firepower, again, we got the boom sticky. It's at the top. Second, we got the Loco E, and then you have this cluster of paddles that are all within kind of the same range. So you have like the Wiesel Pros, you have the Draco, now the Power 2. You could clump several other paddles that just kind of live in that range. And like the Loco and the Boomstick are just like just barely a notch like above these from the numbers that I got. But yeah, it just lives in there. And it was a little bit more than the J6CR. We just talked about that one last week to give you some reference. But yeah, that's where it's living firepower wise. Did that line up with you when you were playing with it?
I thought it was a little bit more. My unit, I'm working on getting my Perfidi 100% verified, so take Aaron's numbers with a grain of salt. My unit was 114, 6.7, so a little bit higher of a static weight, or a little bit higher of a swing weight, but not much. But for me, I think without seeing the numbers, would have put this medium to medium plus to high. I thought it felt more than less. I was having problems with spraying, and like if I didn't have good technique to shape and curve the ball down with the spin, I think I would have guessed higher than the Draco, higher than the CR, maybe lower than the Boomstick, but right under the Loco. That's where I had it, but maybe my unit's a little heavier. Maybe my perception was a little bit different as well.
You basically just regurgitated kind of those firepower rankings I just mentioned, so that lines up. But yeah, it's definitely up there. Like it's in that high power and pop category, no doubt. And it has fill map wise, we'll put up this fill map again like we did last week. But I have it up there in that same quadrant as the others, though I do think it's a little bit smoother. It's not quite as hollow. It's not quite as stiff. It's almost kind of how you described the J6CR last week, though I thought it was a little bit stiffer. And you've revisited the J6CR. How do you feel about where it fits on the fill map now?
I think it's a little bit stiffer and a little bit more hollow when I put some comparison. I think the exact things that I said about where the J6CR lives, maybe just under kind of, I'm trying to think of the map. I don't have the map pulled up, so it's not pulling my perception. I don't want to see Braydon's field map. You guys can see it. I'm flying blind here, so I might plot things in different areas and be wrong. I would put this below. I want to go the bottom, maybe right in the middle, maybe a bullseye, leaning soft.
Of that quadrant?
No, right in the middle of the damn graph. I might put it there.
Like right in the crosshairs.
Right in the crosshairs, I might put this paddle. Doesn't feel as hollow, doesn't feel super dense. It's got a little spring to it. Feels softer than stiffer, I would say. Maybe like middle down, just a hair. But unique. It's like, I don't know how we can keep getting new paddles and plotting them in different areas, right? You're like, man, the Loco Forever, this is the densest floating EPP. And then you hit it next to other ones and you're like, that thing's hollow, right? And you're like, that's so hollow. Wait. And so the more paddles you get, I think the more it fills out the chart. But I would be surprised unless you really like that Pro 4 boomstick feel, this does not have that same feeling. I think you're going to get a noticeably less hollow, more plush, springy feel. And then those traditional top of the market Loco boomstick. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a nice feel.
Yeah, no, I had it charting in that same direction. I didn't have it going as far as meeting the crosshairs, though it was going that direction compared to the other EPP floating foams. And yeah, I do agree. It definitely is not quite as hollow, not quite as stiff, definitely a little bit smoother than the J6CR for sure. But
definitely smoother.
But also feels within the family. Like before I took that X-ray, I was like, I'm guessing it's some sort of variation of a floating EPP because that's the sensation I was getting, during my play impressions. And so that did line up, but it is on that kind of, bottom lower half of that section. But I know for me, like my personal preference is something a little bit smoother feeling. I do like it, not quite as stiff though. If you were to ask me what my field preference was a year ago, I would say softer, denser. That's shifted, I think, over the last 6 months. As I've played more of these stiffer hollow paddles, I've come to appreciate some of that feedback you get from those.
Connectedness. Yep.
And though I'm not as extreme, like personal preference isn't as extreme as a boomstick, I do like some of that little bit of stiffy, a little bit of lively, a little bit of feedback that you get from like some of those paddles. And so to me, this was like really nice. Like I connected with the feel really well. And you said you were spraying in a bit when I was hitting and comparing these. I had 4 different paddles. I had the J6CR, I had the Mark II R3, and then this Flik F3. I was connected. Like I was controlling it maybe a little bit better than those other like similar kind of similar designs, and it was working for me. And so as far as like a personal Braydon feel, it mapped out well, and I liked it, and I was drawn to it. Did it hit it for you? Was the feel missing anything?
No, it was great. It felt like that when you get a new car and you're like hopping in, you're hitting the accelerator, and the thing wants to go. Like this was a fun paddle. I got excited to play this. I just don't know how you don't buy this. Like I know that's like hypey, but it's like this just got so much going for it. And so unless in the course of 2 weeks, a month, we start to see problems, there's disbonding. It's a new type of foam. It's not EPP. It's not MPP. It's not NCP. It's some new type of P. And it's got problems, and we'll find out and we'll tell you.
That's how the doctors figure out the problems too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. It's just got a lot going for it. And so here's the question that I know the commenters want to know. Tell me who should buy a J6CR and who should buy a Power 2 11SIX24. Who's buying what and why? Because that's going to be the two things.
Those are
like I I want to buy one of these paddles. I'm so excited about both. I love the J6CR shape. I'm so excited about this new core reactor tech. You look at the X-ray of the Honolulu. There's so much going for it. But then you're like, but this has a new peel blade, or this has a new grit texture. And I used to buy the Vapor Power. Then I bought an Alpha. Like, please help me. I'm in purgatory. Do I buy the J6CR or do I buy this Power 2, either Huarache or Vapor when they're ready? Who and why?
See, that is the question. So at the moment, I feel like there's more pros for the Vapor. Okay, we have a very similar performance profile as far as power pop. Okay, there's a little bit of difference in feel. Got a little more hollow feel in the J6CR. There might be some preference there. I think the one thing the J6CR does have going for it is its elite shape. I think for an elongated shape, we don't have all the numbers yet for the Huarache version when they come out with it, but historically the J6 is the swing weight to twist weight ratio is stronger, like the balance, and so it does have that going for it, which may pull you towards it if you want that elongated shape, and potentially even the hybrid when they come out with their hybrid, because they have a little bit different hybrid shape. But other than that, I feel like there's more stuff pulling me towards the Vapor with the grit longevity. I think grit longevity trumps feel.
It's a trump card.
I think it trumps a lot of these other stuff that, if they're close, I'm going to go with the longer grit, right? And like price wise, they're pretty similar. And so, right now I would say, wait for this 11SIX24. I think, although the J6CR is great, I think you wait for that, look at the numbers so you can do a solid comparison. But I'm leaning towards 11SIX24 for that one, with the asterisk that you just want that elite elongated shape, and that's your shape, and you go with it.
Yeah, I agree. I love the nuance. You might go J6CR over Huarache because it's maybe got some better numbers. Maybe you're a full elongated player and you don't love that the J6CR has lower swing weight right out of the box, and it feels more like the hybrid like we talked about. So maybe then it's easy to go for the Huarache. But if you're going to put them back on back, I don't know if everything pans out, which these are new paddles and they need time. I don't know how you don't pick a longer lasting grit. The J6CR, with as cool internals that has going on, it has peel ply. And even though it's gritty, and even though the Honolulu is coming in with the sandpaper, like that is finite. And if this material is determined to be as durable and long lasting, then to me, if I am buying a performance paddle, feel is secondary. Like performance and grit is primary. I want a paddle that I know will spin a long time, versus I prefer the hollowness to the slightly softer, dwelly, whatever vibe of the Power 2. Like that is less important, because it's just like, this is going to give you over 2,000 RPMs for 3 months. And the CR might do it for 1 month. How are you not picking this paddle if it's true to say, and then you just get used to this feeling. Like the best thing is just sticking with the paddle. Yeah. So if you have preferences, sure, follow your preferences. But if there are we don't recommend Gen 3 as much because of its inherent problems. So in the future, as we get newer grit technologies, we might not recommend peel ply as much for the same reasons that newer grit textures give you. Right? Yeah,
I think you nailed it on the head, dude. And you got me thinking, okay, like what are the things I prioritize when I'm fighting a paddle for myself? I think number one is you got to find the right combination of power control that fits your game. And then I think number two, I'm going to put grit. Like if I have two options, if I have two paddles that fit the paddle profile and the shape that I want, one has longer lasting grit, one doesn't, I'm going to go with the longer lasting grit, even if the feel of the other one maybe is my preference. Like you can adjust. And in particular with the Vapor, like it's in the ballpark of the others, like it's close enough that I don't think feel is enough to sway you one way or another.
It's relative. And if you don't have both paddles, then like the feel doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because you just get dialed in on one paddle. And so if one is better spin, just get dialed in on the paddle that will have better spin longer.
Yeah.
Like it's easy.
Yeah. Anyways, dude, I just think it has the potential to be the paddle for this first half of the year.
It does.
Like as much as we liked the J6CR last week, and as good as it plays, and as good as the swing weight ratio is and things, I just see this becoming the paddle for that reason of just.
But with a big asterisk, because we need to determine.
True.
Yes, like we don't know I don't like, we don't know that the surface is the texture is going to hold.
Yes.
We don't know that the core is not going to disbond. We don't know that it's not going to crush. We don't know. But perspective, things are positive.
Mm-hmm.
And if things start to get negative, we'll tell you.
You say the grit sucks for whatever reason, then that opens up the door, and all of a sudden the J6CR looks a lot more attractive.
Yeah, it's because it's like, go back to what works. And if that's traditional peel ply, and then feel is more important again, right? And the power percentiles are whatever, both in the low 90s, go for feel, right? Like, I think between the Loco and the Boomstick and the CR, I get why you could buy the CR and really, really enjoy it. I think it's got a cool, unique, more hollowy feel that is nuanced, but maybe better. But this one's different. And because it's like apples and oranges, it's competing in two different leagues because it's got two different layers of tech.
Right. And I don't want to, we got really excited by this, and like, why did we not get this excited potentially over some of these other grits like 6-0's grit? I think we could say the same thing there for 6-0 and their Diamond Tough. Like,
yes,
the Opal, I don't think we got as big on it because it wasn't as player friendly as the Vapor is. Like, I think the Vapor's swing weight, balance, swing weight to twist weight ratio is stronger. It's easier to pick up and play. It kind of falls in line with what we're seeing from all these other paddles, but then has the extra grit. Whereas the Opal was a little more, I don't know what you want to, it was just a little more nuanced. It was not as easy to pick up and play. It didn't just plug into the system as simply as this one does, I think, which is, maybe why we didn't give this same thoughts towards that one. But I think we could say this for the Coral. The early, talks of the Coral's grit being really, really strong from the community is kind of passing that test there. But like, if I'm looking at two all court paddles, one is the 6-0 and one is not, I'm going to go with the longer lasting grit, right? And so I think you can say the same for it. But that's what we're differentiating between like maybe the Opal and this one in the power categories, because I do think this one is got more attractive numbers and a little more forgiveness. That's easier to pick up and play.
Great call out. We are not crowning Permagrit and Hex Grit. We don't know. We're just saying new grit technologies. Okay, Infinigrit, Permagrit, Hex Grit, and True Grit, the movie, the cowboy, Diamond Tough. Have you seen True Grit, the cowboy movie?
A long time ago.
We're just saying these 5 paddles are in a unique category where we're putting them over here, and we don't know, but if things hold true, they're really, really promising.
Braydon's got to get his rig and figure it out.
Right. But number 2, a huge thing that we missed, dude, this is UPA. This is a UPA only approved paddle. So we're like saying, wow, this is gritty. And yeah, it's grittier than the Permagrit on the P1, but that's USAP. So huge caveat, like, this is a UPA only paddle, and that legit changes things. Yeah,
that it does. As far as like the grit allowance, and we're yet to see. We've had a long discussion about this a couple episodes ago of like what it means to be UPA only, but that'll be kind of fun to track and see if that affects people buying it, yes or no, because it's only UPA approved and not USAP. My gut says it won't change anything, but we'll find out. Let's move on to the Flik F3 series. So this is available for sale now. I can't remember. I think it's pre-sale, or the hybrid is available to buy now. The other two are pre-sale. This is another interesting core. So they have this concentric 3-layer foam. So they have like a smaller, higher density EPP center. Then they have another ring of a little lesser dense EPP. Then they have a third outer ring. That's that EVA. And so the typical X-ray, you see the 2 layers. This one, you see 3 layers, and they're all pretty thick. Like, you can imagine that being pretty chunky going all the way through. So you have this different idea here for the core, similar, but just like a little variation of what we're seeing with the 3 layers instead of 2. I had no idea how this was going to play going out there. Ran the numbers on it. This thing is all court power level at about 63%, but has higher pop around 85. So it kind of has a unique performance level there. Numbers wise, this will be available in 3 shapes. The elongated came in for me 7.95 ounces, 118 swing weight, 5.97 twist. My hybrid was 8 ounces, 116, 6.23. Wide body was 8 ounces, 113, 6.24. So these are, other than the elongated, these were all a little bit on the heavier side and a little lower twist weight ratio. The marketing material, they're saying it has a really big sweet spot because of the different densities of the foam, saying that as the ball gets out wider, you get a little more action because you're getting a little more rebound from the outside of the paddle versus having the same dense layer going all the way through. So that's what they're saying, which makes sense. But also it makes sense that having the lighter layers on the outside is going to reduce the twist weight, is going to reduce that perimeter weighting. So you are going to feel a little bit more twisting. So that like the tech lines up with what the numbers are here. I don't know exactly why it's heavier swing weight wise, but that like makes sense with those twist weight numbers. Spin was actually also very good with these. All three of these paddles came in right around 2100 as well. So this is a very high spin paddle as well. That's worth noting. Has a very soft. This is one of those soft, plush, dense bottom left quadrant paddles, like deep into the soft, dense area. Really, really different than a lot of these other stuff we're seeing. So this was my first impressions for this were neutral to negative when I was playing with this the other day. I was swapping between this one, the Vapor, the Mark, and the J6CR. And the Mark, the Vapor, and the J6CR are all more similar. They all have like a similar build, kind of have some similar properties, and it's really easy to switch between them. And but this one was different. And with it being softer, more dense, I wonder if I wasn't able to control it as well. Even though it was less powerful and a little less poppy than the others, I wasn't controlling it as well. I wasn't as consistent with it. It felt a little springy to me. It was just jumping a little more like unexpected, it seemed like at moments. And this is one I'm going to need to go put more time on to see if that stays true or if it was just because it has just a different response than these others and it was more difficult for me to switch between them. And so the jury's still out for me on this one, though it was trickier for me to control in that scenario in those games, switching between those other paddles. When I went back to, like I would hit this, I was floating stuff a little bit, then I'd go back to one of the other three and everything kind of came back to normal. And everything was more predictable. This one was just like a little bit less predictable. It was a little more springy, and it just wasn't landing for me. Though it felt really nice and pleasant, and it has that really unique profile of like the medium power, where you can kind of swing out from the baseline in midcourt, and then when you're looking for some pace on counters, like it was available. Like you could still put the ball away, do more damage at the net than you could from the baseline with it. And so like it was easy to approach the net. Or theoretically, it's easier to approach the net with kind of lower power, and then you have some more offense available to you at the kitchen than you do other paddles that have that same level of offense from the backcourt. But that's where I'm sitting with that one. I don't want to say like give it the go or no go yet. I do want to put more dedicated time with it on its own and compare it to some other all court paddles to see if it's similar or if it was just like that day and that just because sometimes I think when you're switching, when the paddle just is so different from the other ones you're playing with, that can affect how you play with it. And so anyways, I'm going to give that one more time, but I do think the tech is interesting. I didn't really have any thoughts on the sweet spot quite yet. It felt kind of average to me. I wouldn't say like good or bad. That'll have to come later. What did you think of it?
Yeah, rapid fire thoughts. I think the design, nice and minimal, looks really clean. I like the white edge guard. It's got like a nice white and blue, like speckled handle, even though you're going to put an overgrip on it. I think it looks good.
It's a thin handle.
Yeah, it is a little thinner. It's definitely a 4.125. It's a 4.4. It's not going right to the mark, which is a 16.2. It feels much chunkier, like up to a 4.25, 4.3. So you're getting that thinner handle. I like the thinner handle. That's a plus. It doesn't feel gritty to the touch. It feels like that really fine peel ply. So I love that it has 2100 spin number because people will touch. If it doesn't feel gritty, they think they have no spin. So I love the misconception that grittiness doesn't mean everything.
Yeah,
and
it's a combination of the core with the grit, right?
Yeah, it could be dwell. It could be how the ball's pocketing. But I think a blind person wouldn't know that this had as good a spin as some other ones. So love to see that spin means so much more than surface texture. I think I would have put it like lower all court to control, but that was also coming from some of the power paddles hitting side by side. I found the control immediately. For me, it was a little refreshing to go tone back. I could hit my drops with it. I wasn't as tuned in on the power. I think I played a little bit better pickleball with this immediately. Definitely a soft feel, but I also thought it tightened up on full drives. I didn't think it like got super like dwelly and zinging. I thought it like it became firmer when I swang harder, and so it was a good feeling. It needs some more time. I'd like to experiment weighting it a little bit, different technologies and cores, and react to weight differently. And so some aren't as affected, some are really affected. So it's worth tinkering with. I would say that the sweet spot to me felt average, but again, without kind of experimenting with a few weight profiles, kind of hard to say. Definitely need some more time too. But a cool, I like to see another all court entrance in the foam category, because that is a little, we have the coral, we have the
charms,
the charms.
Now these.
So that I like, it's good to see that fill out a little bit, but I agree, I need a little bit more time. But it's still nice to feel it's just a soft foam core.
Yeah, real classic feel to it, right? Almost reminiscent of like a kind of a Gen 1-y style feel to it. Well, it's good to hear that your take was different. You could control it well. That makes me think that, like the mixed takes means more time, and before we come down to like a file diagnosis there, but it is fun to see the new tech that, Flik, which is formerly Body Helix, they've impressed me the last year or so. Like they're pretty hardcore on the R&D. They're coming out with fresh stuff, new things, big props to them. That's hard to do. Not everyone's doing that. They're one of the brands they're bringing new stuff and experimenting, which I appreciate a lot from them. And we'll keep playing with that one. And then last paddle today is the Mark II R3. Let me give you stats and tech and stuff. So tech wise, it's actually kind of fun. Like it's like think of like a Vatic Pro, VSOL Power and Pro mix. So the core has the holes like the Vatic Pro Power. And then it has the EVA ring around the outside. So it's like combining two technologies into one here. Numbers wise, this is only available, or it's going to be available February 3rd. Only, I think they're just launching this elongated shape because that's all they sent us. This will be 171 after code. And then mine weight 8 ounces, 117 swing weight, and then 5.89 twist. So, nice middle of the ground swing weight there, a little bit lower on the twist side, and then it has a longer 5.6 inch handle. And then they're also advertising has a 2-year warranty, which is cool. To me, on the feel side, if I were to map this is similar to the Enhanced Duo, but not quite as dense. So like a less dense Enhanced Duo. Like it's above the line on the stiff scale, on the stiff soft scale. So it's lean stiff, just barely, and then is far left on the dense hollow scale. So it's more dense, but not quite as much as the Duo. And so this one I picked up and played, just super easy. Like as I was interchanging these, like it was, I cheated on this one. I just immediately threw 6 inches of 0.5 gram tape on here. And so
arrest him. The
sweet spot felt, like kind of, good, average good after it's weighted. Not like exceptional, but I wasn't getting hurt by the sweet spot. Right. And then, the weight just kind of just felt like an elongated paddle there. But, I was hitting good stuff with it. Like it came pretty quick. The fill is in that different spot. And like if that's another kind of zone that I liked. Like I love the Enhanced Duos. Like I kind of like that little stiffness gives it that little bit of feedback that you want, but then it feels really comfortable and dense. Like you feel a little bit reduced vibrations there. And it makes sense when you think of the tech, right? Like the Vatic Pro, VSOL Pro powers were very dense, very soft, right? So you bring that core in and then it stiffens it up. Something about that EVA ring just makes paddles stiffer. And so you're getting like this mix of those worlds, and it kind of plays like that. What were your thoughts?
I played this today. I played the Mark, I played the Power 2, and I played the Flik. And this was my favorite paddle of the day. And I just love when you take paddles out, you just don't know. Like I think I was most excited about the Power 2, right? It's got a lot of hype behind it. And then I found myself playing my best pickleball, feeling confident. Where's the power category on this? Do you know the percentiles or anything?
I haven't.
I would guess low power.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Base. I think the Vapor was giving me a little bit more than this one was.
Yep, I think so.
And so it's probably, if I had to guess, it's going to be in that Enhanced Duo range where like it's a power paddle, but kind of mid to low. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I instantly connected, played great with it. I wouldn't say it's as dense as you're describing. I don't think it's as dense as the Genesis, as the NF.
Okay.
I'd put it a little bit, I agree, just above, stiffer than soft, but closer more to the middle.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Just top left a little bit right there. Man, I just played good. I just liked this paddle. And again, this has got a 3K carbon Kevlar weave, or it could be full carbon fiber, but it's that 3K mesh, so it's a little bit softer, and so it won't have like that as much stiffness. It won't have as much stiffness on the face. We've seen this on a few paddles. Every time manufacturers throw it on, I get excited about it because I do think it softens up ball feel a little bit. This is an All Court Plus low power paddle foam core. This is my profile of a paddle. And I had no problems playing with the elongated. I would say the sweet spot I played at stock was good. I almost want to say good plus, but I'll pause on that because I need to play it more. But at no point did I feel like it wasn't stable enough or the sweet spot was holding me back. And it was full elongated coming from like a cheater paddle like the J6 or the Vapor,
sure.
Right? Like they trick you with their shapes. Really, really excited about this one. This one played great. I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's nice to see something that's not in that top right quadrant of the film app. Gives you another option there for people who do like a little softer, more like less, more dampened feel. And so it does fall into a unique, spot there if you're looking for something in that range. But yep, that one is another one I want to give some more time and have that positive first impression. Again, that'll be available February 3rd. That's it for us, dude. That's going to wrap things up. The next week, I'm still going to be heavy. Or I'm going to be heavy into the 11SIX24s this week and part of next as I prep for that review. And so I won't be experimenting with too many other paddles at the moment, but there's a lot of paddles on our plate right now. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, I feel like we're swimming through paddles. There were paddles I crowned 2 months ago as this is the best paddle ever made. And then 2 months later, it's like, this is the best paddle ever made. So we're swimming. We're trying our best to give you guys opinions, but like any thoughts or comments are always appreciated. If you guys have questions, we love pickleball and this is so much fun to hit all these paddles. And we just want to give you guys the best paddle for your game. And so I think that's why we're here. And there's tons of good options. And you guys hear it in a month. If you're going to buy a new one, we'll buy something you love, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Aaron, for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.